Sorry. Thank you. Now we can start. All right. Hi, I'm Elizabeth Barkley. I have my notes, and I'm the founder of Willow Tarot, and I'm an intuitive tarot reader. And we are here today to welcome Travis Holp with us. I'm sorry, I'm like blanking out on the Q&A aspect. Sorry. Okay, now I feel like I should redo. I'm going to take a breath because in this community, it's okay to say I need a breath.
Love that.
And then we're going to start, right? This is like the positive affirmations that I hear from Travis every day on Instagram is like, it's coming through.
It's going to be great. I'm so proud of you, honey. We got this.
Thank you. See, you guys go check him out. That shit feels good. All right. Now we're going to start. And now I'm going to say I'm Elizabeth Barkley, as you can see on the screen. And we are here today to have a Q&A with Travis Holp. You'll find his website in the chat. And you'll also find the meetup links for my two groups that I offer, Willow and Dallas Tarot Club, which are essentially just a safe place to come share your gifts. We meet during the week. Like Travis shares so freely, his words on Instagram is that kind of feeling, to be yourself, to listen to yourself and to understand yourself. So yay. Travis, before we kick off with the questions, is there anything that you'd like to add?
My gosh. Well, first of all, I just want to say I'm so excited to be here and to just chit chat with you guys for a bit. And thank you so much, Elizabeth, for having me. This has been like my normal, not word of caution, but if you follow, I would love it if you follow me on Instagram. It's Travis Warrior Unicorn. If you do, be careful of scam accounts. They're out there. And for some reason they love me. So there's like 30 pretend me's. There's only one me. I'm not DMing you for a reading or anything like that. So just be careful of Instagram scam accounts. But I would love it if you guys follow me on Instagram.
I will say, when I saw Travis's account and I followed it, I saw the scam accounts, and Travis's legit account is the only one that says, this is my only account. So if it doesn't say that, scammer, oh my gosh, no, block.
They're wild.
They are crazy. They are persistent, and they will DM you. Okay.
Can you say the name of your handle one more time? The username for your Instagram account?
Oh yeah, it's Travis Warrior Unicorn.
All right, cool. Charity is co-moderating today. Thank you so much, Charity.
Thanks, Charity.
I know. And she's like a speed demon we're safe. We don't have bombers, but if we did, they'd be out of here in like 2 seconds. It takes me about 12. So wow. Very cool. All right, well, let's go ahead and get started with the questions that we have for Travis. All right, Travis, question number 1. How did you get started on your journey with cards?
You know what's so funny is I had tarot decks like all through like high school, and I would get them and then like my mom would like find them and then just like get rid of them. And then it wasn't until like I was in my mid to late 20s is when I got really back into tarot. And one of my first decks, I think like a lot of people's, the Rider-Waite deck, which is my t-shirt I'm wearing today. And then I also have the John Holland Psychic Oracle deck, which is another one of my favorites. And so those are like 2 of the decks that I started with and started working with for divination purposes for myself and for friends and family.
That's awesome. I love that. I learned on the Kim Cran's Wild Unknown deck, which is like really crazy.
I have that deck. It's beautiful.
I have all of her decks. I'm a fangirl. I love her stuff. They're all worth it.
The art is stunning. The art is stunning. There's a beautiful exhibit in New York. So funny. My friend sent me this picture. I was dying. It's the Pamela Coleman Smith exhibit at, I think it's at the Whitney Museum. And my friend goes to see this exhibit. It's all the original cards with the original artwork. And it's so beautiful. My friend, who knows nothing about tarot, but just is like one of my dearest friends. I've known him for like 22 years. He like sends me this picture and he goes, aren't these the cards that you play with? And I was like, oh, and then I was like, do you know what you're looking at? And he was like, yeah, it's like this exhibit, but it's not like the real cards, right? I'm like, sir, those are like the real cards. Send me pictures. Take all the pictures you can. It was a beautiful exhibit. Anyway, totally random story.
That sounds amazing. I love used decks holding that energy, but to be in front of the cards that
With
Camel
the
told us
original
about.
cards, like I was dying. He sent me these pictures and I was like,
Right.
yeah, it was great.
That's amazing. I love that story. All right. Question number 2. How has social media changed people's approach to the metaphysical?
You know, I think that social media, like anything, has provided more access and more people sharing things that in a way that it becomes more, I guess, socially acceptable. The more that we kind of talk about metaphysics, the more that we talk about these things, right, it becomes a little bit more mainstream, a little bit more normalized. But I think with that comes, I think it's really great, and I love seeing all of this information out there. I also think that discernment is also important, because there's a lot of people sharing opinions, beliefs, right? And so it's all about kind of figuring out what makes the most sense to you and what feels right. But I love what social media has done for metaphysics, because there are people now talking about their journeys, not only with tarot and psychic work and mediumship, but like manifestation and channeling and connecting into energy and shifting vibration. Like that's just becoming like hearing people talk about shifting their energy and shifting their vibration is just becoming like a normal, like you see it more and more. And now you're seeing it like in songs and pop culture. And it's like these things that people have been doing. I think social media has been a great tool for mainstreaming it. My friends and I were watching the Lizzo documentary. And if you haven't watched it, it's so good. But she talks about manifestation like a lot in it. She was like, I manifested my entire career. And it's like, it's so cool to hear, because it's stuff that I think back to like when I was in high school, like you didn't talk about like manifestation, you talk about witchcraft, you talk about tarot, like none of that. You were evil and going to hell. I grew up in a very conservative town in Ohio. And so I think especially there. So now like when I go home and to see like crystal shops open and metaphysical stores open, I'm like, where did this come from? It's so great. It's so beautiful. So I think social media, like anything, it's, it's a tool. It has duality to it. But I think overall, social media has really helped normalize this, not only the work, but just also the alignment with spirit.
Absolutely. I think so. That's also like I see along those lines, like celebrities kind of bring it into the mix too. This is a crystal I love. And then suddenly that crystal's like uber popular, but it's like that celebrity is just freely talking about it, not something like you were saying back in high school. It's scary, it's bad,
Yeah.
I love it. I love the freedom that we're gaining through social media. It's helping our community have a louder voice.
Totally.
All right. Well, Travis, question number 3. What is one of your favorite cards in tarot? And if you'd like to pick an oracle deck, it's up to you. I'm a tarot lover, so I went there.
My favorite card is the sun. I love it so much. I had it tattooed on my shoulder. I've got artwork of it. The sun has just always followed me around in my journey. And it's just always a card that it pops up like when I need it. It's just one of those cards, you know how it is. Like, it's just one of those cards, like it just comes up and I'm like, great, thank you. I know everything is good. Greg wants to see the tattoo. So this is the unicorn tattoo with the butterfly. And then you've got the sun back here. But this is like a unicorn piece, and then the butterfly is for spirit.
Wow.
But yeah.
That's impressive.
My friend did it for me. I didn't know what I wanted. I was just like, I want like a unicorn in space, and this is my favorite tarot card, and I want a butterfly in there. And she was like, girl, I got you. And then she's made like the most beautiful tattoo. I was like, great.
That's amazing.
She knew what you wanted. It looks great. It absolutely looks great. Thank you.
Thanks. Yeah. And I like when my sleeves are down, you just see these flowers poking out, and then there's just so much more in you. So it's fun.
That's awesome. That's really cool. That is putting it on your body. Tattooing it on your body is a statement in and of itself. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, question number 4. Well, actually, I'm going to take just a second. I don't see anything in the chat, but are there questions that you guys have? You can raise your virtual hand, or you can go ahead and post in the chat. But if not, I will move on. And as you think of it, please raise your hand or put it in the chat. Okay, so question number 4. what are the biggest technology changes you've seen have an impact on the metaphysical?
You know what is one of my most favorite things that I've seen in technology? There is a tarot app. There's a lot. There's one I really like. It's called Divinate. And I swear to God, there's some magic in this app. It's DVN8. And it's an app where you can do like a daily card pull. You can do different spreads. And it's like you have to move your wrist with it, like you're shuffling. And so I think that's really cool. They have like a rune deck in there as well as traditional tarot. I think technology's been great, and especially, being in the age of Zoom, where now if you're a practitioner and if you want to service people that are just outside of your hometown, you don't have to have like a physical office space. You don't have to, so for me, I see clients, I don't have like, this is my office, it's in my home, but all of my clients are virtual. So I think that the technology has just given us more access to be able to reach people, and especially people in towns where I do get a lot of people where they don't have like metaphysical, well, they do, they're just not out, metaphysical practitioners that are readily available, or, and so it's nice to kind of reach those people in some of those smaller towns that just find me on Instagram or TikTok, and they're able to get a session and they can do it from their own home, which is great.
That is so true. And that made me think of a practitioner I know who said that she has a client that she's never seen their face. It's all virtual, and their videos off, and they're always muted, and they just drop their questions in the chat. And I'm like, that is awesome that they have this ability now with technology, because before,
Yeah. And especially with like platform mediumship as well. I mean, there's a lot of really great mediums that do platform mediumship, which is, if you're not familiar, it's a style of mediumship that was developed in spiritualism. And it's essentially where you do readings for a large audience, and you connect into spirit that way. And so, there will be practitioners that do lives that do platform mediumship. I think it's great.
Yes, I've seen you do your speed reading style, and I am mesmerized. And I have sat with a deck of cards and thought, well, I'm going to practice. I didn't know how to start. It's like, how does he do that? And actually, before I that is our next question, but I do see Nico's hand up. So before we go into that, Nico, what would you like to say?
So Travis, I know you do mediumship work, and you also do tarot, and I'd really love to hear about why you choose one in one situation and another in the other situation. Why wouldn't you go directly to mediumship or direct communication with angels and spirit instead of using the cards? And I'm just curious about how that works for you.
Yeah, well, so it's funny. I actually, so I started on social media with tarot. I actually haven't used tarot. I have some clients that still love tarot, but now in my sessions, it's all spirit led. So very seldomly am I using cards. I do love them for my own divination purposes. When my TikTok account kind of like exploded, I was doing like quick little card readings, which I think is going to lead into Elizabeth's next question, which really it was like, yeah, I was reading the cards, but I was also channeling messages, and I had no idea that's what I was doing. And so it's so funny though, I love tarot so much. I have such a deep love for it, but it was so funny because I realized I'm doing these readings for people and I've got the cards in front of me, but like, I'm just getting all of this information. And eventually I remember the first time I did a reading without cards for like a full hour. And it was the coolest thing, but typically I won't use tarot unless I have a client that specifically likes tarot.
All right, that makes so much sense to me. That you're channeling, because I mean, you were rapid and you were on point, and the flow was intense. I mean, you just like water.
Well, and that's what the original tarot was designed for. I mean, I know tarot has a beautiful structure and a really great way. I love tarot as a framework, especially for even readings, because of how you you get in the practice of asking very specific questions for answers. And it's kind of the same thing when I'm going back and forth with spirit. When I'm in a reading, I'm like, okay, what do you mean by this? Okay, what's our time frame on this? What are we? And so tarot for me was like a great framework too, because I ask my questions with spirit in a very kind of similar way, like what's happening, what's the root cause, how did they get around this? And so, but Pamela Coleman Smith, she designed the cards to be read intuitively. So, right, you can't look at the Three of Swords and be like, oh my God, you've got abundance coming in, right? Like that's not, there is a structure to it, but those cards were designed to pick up the energy of the card, what was going on, because a Three of Swords for me might not be a Three of Swords for Charity, right? Like, so those cards were designed to be read intuitively, and of course, with the other cards laid out telling a story. But so I realized that's how I was doing readings. It was funny because like I started out doing readings with tarot, and that was it. But I'm like channeling, doing all these messages, and then mediumship like kicked in while I was using tarot. So for me, tarot was just unlocking my mind. It was helping me get out of my own way, because it was kind of like training wheels for me in a sense. I say that not to be like tarot is training wheels. That's not what I meant, but that's we're just going to keep going with the thought, but you understand what I mean. Right. For me, it was, that tool made me feel comfortable with channeling. So for me, that, Patty, I don't have a YouTube channel. I'm so sorry. One day. But for me, tarot helped me be really comfortable with channeling and getting out of my own way for channeling.
Okay, I love that. I really like that. And I'm very grateful that you found tarot that led you into this freedom.
Yeah, and I still love it. And I have friends that read tarot. Listen, I have friends that read tarot, and I'm like, I don't know how in the hell like I have a friend that's been studying tarot, no joke, for 50 years. And she has this deck. It's like magic, but it's like an old deck. Like you can barely see the pictures anymore. And she's like, you see this? This is what this means. And this is what this means. And this is what this means. I'm like, woman, how do you remember all of that? But I think it's beautiful. I think reading tarot is such a beautiful art.
I agree completely. It's definitely, it's mind opening. And when I clicked with tarot, it was a kind of a click that I hadn't really had before with anything like a passion. Yeah. So it really does. It kind of opens the door. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. So the next question we have. Okay, the next question. What effect did COVID have on your profession?
Well, COVID is actually where I started my profession. Like, so for me, it was like me kind of busting free. So my story is, I've always had this connection to spirit. And I would always do readings for friends, family, all of that. And then during COVID, I was at this really weird place. Like I stopped drinking during COVID. I did a lot of deep healing during COVID. Like I cleaned my life up. And I started like a pretty deep healing journey during that time. Like I think a lot of people did. And I left my job in September of 2020. They eliminated my role, and it was like a role that I had worked so hard for. And then I left, and I was like, oh my God, like, who am I? Like, what do I do? So then I get on TikTok and I start seeing all of these people in spirituality. And then I find a psychic on TikTok, and I had a reading with her, and she was like, oh my God, you're going to do readings. And I was like, no, I'm not. And then I'm sitting on TikTok one day, and the company I worked for was a skincare company. And so they would have us make TikTok videos to advertise the product while we were all at home. And so I would do these videos where I'm just putting on skincare, and I'm just saying nice things to people. I'm like, I think you're amazing. I think you're special, kind of like what I do now, but just applying skincare. And so I get on a TikTok live one night, and I think there was 5 people in the room. And somebody was like, I had a really bad day. Can you share some words with me? And so I just grabbed my psychic oracle deck, and I was like, you know what? I only do this for friends and family, but I'll read some cards for you. And then there were 1,500 people in this room after 30 minutes, because spirituality and tarot and psychics, and was just really taking off on TikTok. So it was just a hot kind of thing. But I did these readings, and then I had DMs who were like, do you do private readings? And I was like, I do now. And so I found a mentor, started doing readings professionally, and I haven't looked back. So for me, it was the birth of this part of my life.
That's amazing. That's your story is similar to mine in that way as well. But that number blows my mind, and that you're in this room with that many people, and you're just going to flow right through it. This is an
And I'm
absolute
just
calling.
like, yeah, but here's the thing. I can't do that anymore. Like that was back when, like, you know, I was like real reckless with my energy, and I was like, it's fine, I'll read for all of you, you know. And now I'm like, hey, if I'm going live, I'm gonna just come on, we're just gonna talk a little bit, you know. But that was just, you know, it comes with learning, right? And learning your energy.
So I do have a question for you. I just thought of, have you ever had like a psychic hangover? All that energy you put out, have you felt it?
Yeah, when I was unpracticed in my grounding and centering and cleansing, yes.
Okay, so grounding, centering, and cleansing.
Now, like, honestly, now, like, when I do readings, like, I am like buzzing afterwards. And like, I feel like I can run a marathon, and I don't really get tired anymore. Like, now I could do it just all day and it just flows, but not at first, because I wasn't anchoring into my power. I wasn't anchoring into that. But, you know, it's things you learn, and it's just things that you kind of have to hit your head a few times, right, to do that. And also just personal boundaries. Like, I'm a helper by nature. My last name means to have helped. And so, you know, I had to like put boundaries in place and be like, no, I only work for spirit during these hours, and you know, the rest is like my time to recharge and rebuild my energy. So
That's excellent. That's an excellent suggestion to have those boundaries in place, because I'm sure, some people are asking.
yeah, and it's about, you know, you get emails, you get people in your DMs are like, I've got this going on, I've got that, and you're like, you want to help them, but then it's like, oh.
Yeah, yes. All right. So question number 7.
Yeah.
I've heard you speak on coming out of the spiritual closet. What advice do you have for those wanting to express their metaphysical and magical sides? And I'd like to comment just really quick here to put this like into like a level kind of thing, because I have a t-shirt from Valerie Lewis of Tarot, Unicorns, and Coffee. I bought it from her, and it's got like an eye, and it says tarot reader, and that's all. And I was terrified the first time I wore it in public. I mean, I was scared. So just that kind of level. But go ahead, Travis.
Yeah, you know what though, but it's a big thing, because for me, this isn't just like a hat I put on. This isn't like a just, you know, I know I made a reference about, you know, I work for spirit during these hours, but that's just an energy balance thing, right? Like, this is just who I am all the time. And so I think when you are, whether it's your sexuality, whether it's your gender identity, anytime you share that big piece of yourself with the world, there is this kind of this vulnerability that we have to lean into, because, you know, if we don't lean into it, if we don't allow ourselves to feel the joy in being who we are, we just build up shame, we build up, you know, just kind of icky feelings. So for me, it's, you know, it's do it as you feel comfortable, do it where you feel safe. I realize not all places are created equal, and there's not, you know, an equity and safety, depending on where you're at. And so I think do it where you feel safe, share it with people who you love and trust, go at your own pace. I mean, I've always been a, you know, just baptize me by fire kind of guy. So when I was like, I'm a psychic medium, I was like on TikTok, like, I'm a psychic medium. And then, you know, you've got millions of people now watching, and you're like, oh, well, you know, now I got to call my mom and tell her before one of her friends tells her, you know. So yeah, I think that that's a personal piece in everyone's journey. I don't have like a, you know, oh my gosh, you should definitely come out and live your truth. What I will say is that if you do come out and live your truth, and if you do shine that light with the world, it gives other people permission to shine their light too. And I can't think of, I go back to being when I was coming out at 14. I came out very young, and I think back on the people who came out before me, the people that, you know, led gay rights movements and their bravery, and if they hadn't have come out, I don't know if I would have had that bravery to do that. And so same thing with metaphysics. I think the more that we kind of share our authenticity, the more people look around and go, oh my God, you too, I thought I was the only one. And then it creates this awesome connection. And then there's more and more people living in their truth. And the more people we have living in their truth, the better our world gets.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that. Yes. The very much, it's your pace and the shining of the light. You are shining a light for people to see that this is a path that they can take as well. That's amazing. I love that. All right, Travis, question number 8. With 500,000 followers on social media platforms like TikTok and Instagram, you are a person to look to for advice. What would you like to share about how to gain your level of success and popularity that you've achieved?
Just find your voice. Find your voice and get into alignment with what you want and why you want it. I don't do this for follow. I mean, you know, the followers are nice. I'm not going to lie. Like, my ego loves, like, oh God, we got another 5,000 followers today. Thank you, Jesus. You know, like, but, you know, my ego likes it. My spirit, though, it's different. Like, I just get excited that people are resonating with a message. Like, every time I see a comment where somebody is like, this is what I was going through. Thank you so much for sharing this. This, you know, this feels good. Yes, it feels good for me, but also I know that in that moment, someone found resonance with their own spirit. And that's really what I'm here to do. Is I'm just here to hold a vibration for other people to find resonance with their own spirit. That's it.
Wow, I love that. I love that. Resonance with their own spirit.
But yeah, I get a lot of questions about social media growth. And, you know, I think for me, it was just, I think I used, if you're not familiar, Tabitha Brown on TikTok. She started on TikTok. She was an actress for like 20 something years, lived in LA, Black female. She would show up to these auditions. She would like straighten her hair. She would change her voice because she's got like a thick country accent. She would change her voice, and like she just wouldn't get these jobs. And then she shows up on TikTok and she's got her hair it's natural. She has her thick country accent, and she's like looking at the phone and she's like, hey baby, let me tell you something. And it's like the most comforting thing you've ever heard. And then now, like 2 years ago, she was just essentially like a nobody on TikTok. And now she's got a kid show. She's got a vegan food line at Target. She's got like all of this stuff. So studying Tabitha Brown, she has what's called the lighthouse message, which is her message is consistent no matter what she's doing. So I think if anybody's wanting to share their message, just understand what that message is, be consistent with it, and be in alignment with it. And that's it. That's it. Posting, analytics, all that stuff, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. I used to drive myself crazy with that stuff. And then, but didn't feel good. Like I felt like I was creating something from this point of attraction that it didn't feel right for me. And
Right.
Now when I create, it feels really whole. It feels good. It feels really good. And it has resonance.
I like that. I like that a lot. And it also takes a little bit of the anxiety out of it when I hear you say that. Like, don't pay attention to these aspects. Just what are you there for? What are you talking about? Like, be you. Yeah. But I'm like, okay, that's less stressful.
Well, our self-worth, our sense of self-worth can very easily get tied into social media and like how a video is performing, how things are doing. As much as like we don't, as much as we don't want to admit it, every time hi little crow. Every time there is every time you get a like on a photo or a comment, your brain actually releases dopamine. Did you know that?
No.
Yes.
Oh.
Every time, like our brains are wired to like approval. So every time we get approval, we get a little bit of dopamine, right? And so like it is very easy to get sucked into my approval is weighted on what all these people who I've never even met think of me.
Right.
So you just have to just remind yourself, like, it's just social media. It's not that serious. And it's rented land. Social media could be gone tomorrow.
Oh
All
my-
it
okay.
takes is like one privacy law and like Meta is gone. So like, I mean, God, they threaten TikTok, I think like what, every 3 months? Like, so, social media is rented land. So I just enjoy it while I'm there.
That's true. And they've banned TikTok, or attempting to ban TikTok at some universities and schools. So I was like, very true, rented land, very, very true. That's a great aspect, because it reduces that anxiety. Like when I think about it, I'm like, yeah, we're good. This is right now, and that's all
Oh my
that
God.
matters.
I remember like last year, Instagram crashed, I think for like 6 hours and everybody lost their minds.
I remember that. Where was I when that happened? I remember.
You know what? That was the most peaceful 6 hours of my life.
It was nice. It really was. Oh, good memories. All right, Travis, let's see. For your next question.
Yeah.
Okay, so actually, currently, question number 9, currently, what deck or card are you working with right now?
Yeah. So you know what? I have 2 decks that I love. Please.
Yeah. I love deck sharing. I need to have a whole meetup. Just bring your decks. Let's see what we've got.
So this is my this is the Star Tarot. And I love this deck so much. It's based off of traditional tarot with some extra like fun artwork, but I love the artwork of this deck. It's so beautiful. And yeah, I don't know, like this is the Empress card, like she's pretty. I love this deck a lot. For me, I'm always working with the sun. I'm always working with that sun card, honey. I'm clutching onto that thing for dear life. But then I also love the White Light Oracle from Alana Fairchild. This is like a staple, sits on the corner of my desk kind of deck. This deck goes deep. Like this deck goes real deep. So if you're not ready to be emotionally wrecked, don't buy this. It's good. It's really good. This is more so for to me, this is like the healing so we can let the light shine brighter deck.
Okay.
And this is one of my favorites. It's an oracle deck.
I had an image of someone taking the swords and 10 of swords, the guy on the beach, and someone taking the swords out. You're healing, but it sucks. It hurts, but we're healing, like that kind of.
Yeah.
All right. And I see, Charity, thank you so much. There's a link in the chat, guys, for you to be able to contact and see all of Travis's info as well. Thank you, Charity. All right, we have our final question, and it is, well, I think I'm just going to say that you're starting off the year with us here at Willow Root, and that is pretty much a high point here. So after this, where do you see, what are you giving into 2023? What do you have in store?
Oh man. There are so many things that are on my manifestation list that are coming. For me, 2023 is more so about just leaning more into serving spirit, however that looks. Like I've got the things that I want, right? But like just because I want it doesn't mean it's in like the highest good for everyone, right? But I think there was a point in my life, Elizabeth, where somebody would ask me that question and I could be like, I'm doing this and I'm doing this and I'm doing this. And now I'm like, you know what, man, I'm just enjoying every day as it comes. And I'm just making sure that I feel worthy of everything that's coming to me. And that's like really just where my focus is. I think the universe, when we're creating or we're consciously creating, the universe just asks us to feel worthy of what we're asking for and have fun along the way. And so I'm just enjoying the ride.
That's awesome. I like that. It's that kind of approach that I see you like enjoying what you have. Like I have like probably 30 pairs of soft, comfy socks, fuzzy socks, because I love my fuzzy socks.
Yeah.
But I really try to take a moment with each sock, and it's like, I love this pair. I don't just have 30 pairs because I like it, and it's those kind of moments where you really you give gratitude for what you have, like really not necessarily it's about abundance or volume. You might only have
Yeah.
a few of this or one, but it's what it means to you and how you appreciate it. And those
Yeah.
moments, those days in your life.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, so but I can talk to you like realistically, like about like, or not realistically, that was very realistic, but like projects I have coming up. There's a couple of classes that I'm really excited to be teaching that's coming up. I'm doing some co-creative classes with some friends. So I'm doing one class on manifestation for another spiritual community. I'm doing a class with a really good friend of mine. She is a hoodoo practitioner. And she also loves tarot, and we're doing a class on love and conscious creation with love, which I'm really excited about, and romantic partnerships.
That's awesome.
There's some really cool things that I'm excited to kind of co-create with people this year. So
That's awesome. That sounds fun. This is like me sitting with you and all of us being in this room together. This is joy for me. So this is like I kind of picture these classes, right? It's all this energy.
yeah.
Oh, Patty has a really cool question. If you don't mind me asking, how do you deliver bad news?
Well, I don't. So here's the thing. When I'm sharing, I don't see the information as good or bad because I'm in a place of complete non-judgment. I think, there's ways to deliver things though, or there's ways that messages come through that still give hope. There's I think when that message comes through from spirit, I just let spirit lead the way. I have to be honest. And I came from like 17 years of like HR experience as well. So if things get like really tough, I can work a tough conversation, but that's just from my working background. But no, I don't think there's any such thing as bad news. And I know that sounds like kind of lofty, but I think it depends on the person and their like, because it's not. So here's the thing. I had a client. She's at stage 3 cancer. And she feels, I didn't tell her that she was dying. I'm not in the business of telling people when they're going to die. I don't know that, and I don't want to know that, to be honest. But she feels that this is it for her. She feels it's not going to get better. And but she was okay with it. And she was really okay with it. But for some people that would be earth-shattering. So I don't know. I think sometimes, and I think people like, especially like people who come in and they know that like a spouse is cheating. And again, I don't tell people if their spouses are cheating or not. To me, that's not within my ethics. Do your own thing. But for some people, that could be horrible news. For some people, that's like oh, thank God, because they wanted to leave the relationship. And so like they're out, right? Like, as so for me, I don't really judge the information that comes through as good or bad. It's for the person to kind of what they deal with it. My job as a practitioner is just to make sure that people know that we as individuals and beings connected to source, that our perspective of it is what makes the experience what it is.
Absolutely. I see what you're saying. Because sometimes, and not like the good or bad, but sometimes I've shared info and readings that made no sense to me at all. It was gibberish. And the person's like, oh, I totally know what you're talking about. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, that especially with mediumship, like that's what I find, like anytime I'm getting evidence or memories or things like that for someone from a loved one on the other side, anytime I try to interpret it, I mess it up. So I'm just like, here's the information. I'm getting hot dogs. Why am I seeing hot dogs from your husband that's transitioned over? And then next thing you know, the client's like, oh my God, we had a hot dog stand and that was our thing. I would, I'm like, I just would have thought the guy liked hot dogs. Like, did he choke on a hot dog and die? Like, what happened? So, right. So I think as practitioners, it's really, it's really not for us to have a judgment about it or a thought about it. It's just, here's what the information is.
I love how you said that too, because I noticed that I have a tendency to build a story around whatever I'm seeing, but that I don't know what the story is. Like you're saying, like you see a hot dog, I might be like, well, there's a hot dog vendor nearby. but I don't know that. I have this
Yeah.
obsession to like fill it in, but you're saying just say it as you see it. And
Yeah,
that is
no,
so
like
on point.
first thing that comes through. That's the thing, because like your intuition, even when like we're operating for our own intuition, right? It's always that very first quick thing that comes through. So the best way I can kind of describe this is even if you're reading for yourself or if you're getting intuitive information for yourself, right? Like intuition is the volcano is going to explode. Anxiety is, oh shit, the volcano is going to explode, right? So like it's completely neutral. So it's bad information, good information, messages that come through it, it's always neutral for me.
Right. I hear you. I'm reading an author now that says something along those lines. Whatever information she gets, there's a sense of neutrality to it. Now, she might personally react with feelings, but that's not what came through with the message. It's just that she might get sad or happy, but I totally hear you. I'm trying to feel that in myself too, as I listen.
And just to kind of throw another wrench into things, empathy is so important. As a practitioner, though, empathy can sometimes be to our detriment. And I say that because it doesn't mean I don't care about my clients. It doesn't mean I'm like, whatever, your husband's cheating, screw you. Like, it's not that. But if I'm in empathy with someone, I'm sitting in their vibration. It would be no different, Elizabeth, if you get into a tar pit and you need help out, and then I get into the tar pit with you.
Okay. Ouch.
So I think as practitioners, it's important to have compassion and empathy. However, I can't be in that empathy with you, which is why that information has to be neutral, which is why I have to share just this is what I'm seeing, this is what it is. It's not that I don't care. I care deeply about people and I don't want to see anybody hurt. However, if I'm stepping out of my power and I'm stepping out of my vibrational state, then I can't help you. We're both screwed.
Okay. I love that. I love that tar pit example too, because as soon as I pictured you in there with me, I was like, no, we're both stuck.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. You can't make yourself sick enough to heal the sick. You can't make yourself poor enough to heal the poor. And just for me, what that has always meant, and that tar pit analogy, what that's always meant as is that someone, the practitioner, has to be holding this picture of what healing looks like and what it looks like on the other side.
Oh, wow.
That's my job. As a healer, I haven't healed anybody. And I don't heal people. I love the term healer, but like I've never healed one person in my life. People heal themselves. I just hold the vibration so they can see that it's possible. Okay.
That's beautiful. I love that. Gosh, that was, I love this. This Q&A has been amazing. All right. Well, Nico is okay. Sure. Does anyone have a question? You can raise your hand. You can drop it in the chat. It's a small group if you just want to speak.
Yeah.
And if not, we can say goodbye. I think we will say goodbye. This has been amazing, Travis. Thank you. Oh, wait, Charity, go ahead.
Last minute. I like going in last minute.
Yeah.
How do you, since this is something that's been only recent for you, how did you decide what was mediumship, or like what were the messages that you were getting versus like, oh, this is my mind just telling me this and I don't know if this is really real?
That's a great question. So mediumship, so again, it's just that knowing. It's just that it's a feeling. So like if I'm in a mediumship reading for someone, I always ask the information to come through, and it's things that like I just wouldn't know or I couldn't even make up, right? Like the way that somebody transitioned over, perhaps what their name was, what they liked, what they were like in person, mimicking a bit of their personality. And that is just me opening up that vibrational stream to receive that. That came with practice. It came with mentoring. It came with a lot of study, and I still study. Like I always say, like I'm a student before I'm ever the teacher in anything I do. And for me, psychic, so there's two modes. There's psychic, right, which is connecting to someone else's energy and seeing kind of what's going on. Then there's mediumship, which is connecting into spirit guides, angels, and loved ones who have crossed over. Anytime we're getting information from a spirit. And so Psychic is just kind of like, I feel it more. I'm like, oh, we've got some things going on in the heart chakra. Maybe we've got, some trauma that we're healing or working through. And then seeing kind of bits of their life. But mediumship is more so, it kind of feels like the information is just kind of being poured into my ear. It's like the craziest thing, but it's a very different mode of operating.
That's cool. I like that. I like that distinction as well. That's cool. Do you see spirit in the room during a reading, Travis?
Clairvoyantly, yes. Spirit to me, when I see it, it's really more so just like little flecks of light. It's more so like little flecks of light. It's more of a feeling for me. If I see it, it's always in my third eye. It's never like with my my human eyes.
Okay, that's interesting. Okay, and then you have a question from Chantel. Do you do collaborations with small content creators? What advice would you give to small content creators? I seem to be attracting a lot of Christians telling me that what I do is evil. Oh my gosh.
So I'm going to tell you something. This might be a popular opinion, might not be a popular opinion. I don't believe the universe tests us. However, I do believe that we are expanding when we are on our journey, when we are opening up, when we are shifting into higher planes of knowing. I do believe that darkness within people, because darkness doesn't exist without a vessel, right? Like, just like light doesn't exist without a vessel. Darkness comes through people, light comes through people. It doesn't come through places. It needs a vessel. When you are on this expansion, when you are leaning into your truth, when you are shedding old layers of ego, that darkness will sometimes come through with people and they'll poke at you. Is this a test? I mean, you could easily say like, maybe it's a test, seeing if you're ready. Perhaps it's just giving you a chance to clear out any fear that you might have and look at it, instead of taking it personal, looking at it as, okay, where do I still have fear in here? But I do believe that there are moments in our journey where we're kind of poked at just a bit. And I think it serves a purpose. So if that is happening to you, congratulations, you're expanding. Amazing work. Beautiful.
I know you're still doing what you're doing. I have gotten people telling me what I do is evil as well. And I feel sorry that you hear that, but it does help kind of push a little to go.
Oh, honey, listen, I've been told I'm going to hell since I was like 14 when I came out of the closet. Like, God, give me something new. God, I'll go there as long as you're not there, Jesus. Hope they have good music. Shit.
Party.
Yeah, but I would just take that as just a sign that you are expanding. And that's going to happen. And here's the thing. It's not just going to come through from strangers. It's going to come through from friendships. It's going to come through from loved ones. They're going to poke. And that is that access point through them, their own fear, that the darkness is kind of able to poke a bit. So just take that as, hey, I'm expanding. And I'm activating something within someone, and that's okay. Your light is going to activate unhealed pieces of people. Anybody, I don't care where you come from, anybody who says you're evil, you're going to hell, I'm condemning you for this, this is terrible. Honey, there is a lot of unhealed shit happening with that person. So just know that your light is it's just triggering that. A healed person does not condemn people, tell them they're going to hell, call them bad. That's not what happens.
Absolutely.
Right? A happy person, somebody who's good in their own vibration, who's solid with themselves, they just keep scrolling. They see something they don't like. I see shit I don't like all the time. I'm like, whatever, But just know that.
Right, very cool. Lisa has an additional question. How did you go about figuring out what you wanted to do, or was it just spirit led?
Man, it really wasn't unfolding. So when I started doing readings, I I ended up a few months later getting like a full-time job because I was still living in that mentality for myself of I still needed this full-time job, but this work could not sustain me. That was old programming. So I did. And then eventually it just started unfolding. Then I just noticed myself getting really miserable with full-time work. And I'd always loved working. I loved it. But now I'm like, God, this just doesn't fill me. But when I'm doing readings, or when I'm seeing clients, I am just through the moon, just so excited. But I had to break through this old programming and scarcity mindset that spiritual work couldn't sustain me. I had to break through that for myself. And when I broke through that old programming is when things really unfolded. I took a big trust fall with spirit back in September. And I remember I was standing in my kitchen and I talk to my guides all the time. And I was like, look, I know y'all want me to leave my full-time job. I know y'all want me to leave. I'm not going to do it. Y'all know me. Y'all know I'm stubborn. I don't know why we're having this conversation. So you know what? They're just going to have to fire me. This was on a Wednesday. Friday morning, I got fired for doing spiritual work. They knew the work that I did. They knew that I had a social media following. It got to the point where it became too distracting for their customers, which is totally fine. And I remember they called me and they were like, we've got some unfortunate news. We do have to let you go because of this, this, and this. And I remember crying and I was like, thank you so much. And they were like, what do you mean? And I was like, I don't think you knew. I was asking to be fired. And they were like, God, we just wish you so much luck on your journey. It was great. I was like, thank you so much. See you later.
Right.
But it wasn't unfolding for me. And I think for me, that's what works. I think because no matter what you're doing, if you're leaving a relationship, leaving a job, wanting to start something new, you have to have your energy keyed up to what it is you're stepping into. Otherwise, it's going to feel really rough. It's going to feel really rocky. You could still make it. But for me, this was a really natural transition. I left that work and then doing spiritual work full time now. And it was just really easy. And there was no weird turbulent period. It just flowed.
That's awesome. I love that. All right, guys, are there any more questions, either in chat or you can raise your hand? And the links are in here. I did drop a link. Greg, I believe, asked the next event. I did drop the link. I'll drop it again. This is the next event, Q&A with Charity on human design. And it will be as thrilling as this. Travis, your answers are amazing. And I've gotten so much insight. And I'm so much less anxious just about even approaching the tech side of being a reader. Just understanding the platforms and the rules and the etiquette has been a little mind-blowing for me. But seeing you, your popularity, your easygoing attitude towards life and your gifts has just been, it's been rejuvenating for me. Thank you so much for everything that you've shared here today.
Oh my gosh. Thank you guys so much for having me. And again, follow me on Instagram. I would love it. Say hi, shoot me a DM. And again, just on Instagram, it's not just with me, it's with a lot of spiritual creators and just other accounts in general. Just be careful of scam accounts. I'm not going to DM you telling you that I got amazing energy off your photo and I want to read for you. That never happens. But this has been beautiful. And thank you all so much for sharing the energy and the love today. It's been great.
All right, it has been. All right, thank you. And thank you guys for coming today and sharing your energy. Check out the links in the chat. You can save it too if you'd like. They're for Travis, they're for the other groups, they're for the next meetup, all that good stuff. And I will see you guys here or somewhere else shortly, I hope soon. Okay, bye everybody. I will talk to
Elizabeth
you soon.
and Travis,
Yeah.
can you stay on after this?
Yeah.